We just naturally fell in love with the game. We kind of grew up in a locker room, so since I was a little kid, I was going to these college basketball games, and they were just so fun to me. So my dad never really pushed us to play basketball at all. Me and my brother just always wanted to be around his players and his team, and we felt like that was our family. So we just naturally fell in love with the game, and then we looked up to his players, and we looked at them as heroes. So we wanted to be just like them ever since we were a young kid. I think my brother and I, we have different ways of going about shooting. My brother's very mechanical, where I was very stubborn as a kid, and even though he tried to teach me, I kind of just wanted to learn on my own. And I would watch him, and I'm a visual learner, so as I watched him shoot, I said, okay, that's how it's supposed to look. And I think I just took more attempts growing up, and took more shots growing up, and was able to, as I got stronger as a kid, I was able to use my legs more, and my form just slowly changed to what I wanted it to be. So we learned about it differently. He's very technical, I'm very visual, and that's basically how I learned to shoot the ball when I was growing up. I mean, the work never ends. I think now, being 31, it's more of a mental thing as well. I don't think you need as many reps. It's just you need, when I do take shots, I try to make it as game-like as possible. It's tough to simulate the adrenaline that comes with a game. But if you can, approach each and every shot like you're in a game, it really, really helps with your consistency. But growing up, I took a lot of shots, but I always used to take all of my shots going off the dribble. It's tough that when someone rebounds for you to just pass you the ball and you catch and you shoot. Very rarely do you see that in a game. And I believe when it comes to a shot like that, it's more mental. But I think to be a great shooter, you have to be able to shoot the ball off the dribble, whether it's off your left hand or your right hand, off of a crossover, off of a ball screen. And I think for coaches around Europe, they find that very useful when a guy can shoot off of a ball screen or shoot off the dribble in isolation and then come off screens like I do and take that, left, right step and kind of shoot what looks off balance, but it's actually not off balance. So basically just kind of learning how to shoot different types of shots consistently, I think, is what makes a great shooter. I learned to shoot quick really with my legs. I think people pay attention to upstairs in your form, but I think that everything comes from your legs, and how I'm able to pop off the ground is why I can shoot it faster, and I can get into my shooting pocket faster. So now being 31, it doesn't really matter where I start coming up with the basketball. As long as my legs are set and I can pop off the ground, I feel like I have a really good chance to make it, whether it's coming off the right, coming off the left. So I think the quickness in my shot starts with my legs. I was in a dynamic situation. My father, I grew up in Rhode Island, and my brother played for my father growing up. And they had a different type of relationship. At that time, my brother was a shooting guard, so there was quite a bit of conflict, and my mother was at the middle of it. So I witnessed that, the traditional arguments between a father and a son over the dinner table, and the frustrations that come with the father-son dynamic, especially as a coach. Growing up, though, at that stage in my career, I was playing the point guard, and I understood that the ball was going to be in my hands and that I had more control over the team. I went to Virginia because Tony Bennett was also a great guy, and I had some great teammates there as well, but I went there because my brother and my mother and my coach at the time were all telling me, hey, I think you should try this. It's going to be very difficult to play for Dad. Even though I had one goal, and that was to play for my hometown team and go to the NCAA tournament, which my brother was not able to do. So I started off at Virginia, and my heart was never really there. It's a great school. I met a great friend, and Tony Bennett and the coaching staff were absolutely great. But the entire time, my mind and my heart was in Rhode Island. So that's why I decided to transfer back and try and go home and save my dad's job, because that's where I'm from. So I don't regret it. It's weird how things work out. I went to 3 colleges, which I never had any anticipation of doing that at all. But it's kind of funny how things work out, because I believe my senior year I was at a small school, but I was able to show all the talent that I had at that time, and I was able to, I had a lot of NBA draft workouts, so it's tough to say that I would have had more workouts more of an opportunity in the NBA if I stayed at Virginia, because at the small school I was at Canisius, I was able to do more. Yeah, I think at that stage I had this motivation that I was trying to prove a lot of people wrong, because I started at Virginia and here I am at Canisius, and no offense to Canisius, but it's a much smaller school than Virginia, so I think I had a big fire at that point. And I just wanted to prove everyone that I can play at a big level, and now I was a pro. And my goal was to make the NBA or play in the EuroLeague, and that, whether I went to Virginia or Canisius, nothing was going to stop me from trying to get to that goal. So it gave me great motivation, and to be honest with you, looking back on it, it was fun. There was a lot of frustrations, but proving people wrong was probably the funnest part about it. and I continuously have that motivation to keep going and keep reaching even further. And plus, I met my wife there, and we have 2 beautiful kids now. That year was really special. I think my first year overseas was a little rocky, and I got very homesick. And then I remember going back to the airport. It was such a quick turnaround. When I was going to Belgium at the airport, I met my brother there. And I was like, wow, this is really, really happening. This is going to be a lot of fun. And it was. I mean, looking back on it, we had a lot of fun. I think that was the 7th year playing overseas, and we hadn't spent a ton of time together outside of a few weeks during the summer. So we enjoyed it a lot. I played the point guard, he played the shooting guard, and it was something, honestly, that I never really thought was ever going to happen, but it did. And it was a whole lot of fun, and being on that team. I was also with my college teammate as well, and my brother lived on the 3rd floor, I lived on the 2nd floor, and so we were with each other every single day, so we were able to catch up on a lot of things that we missed. Kevin was on the 1st floor, I was on the 2nd floor. Our wives are really close, our kids are only 2 weeks apart, so our families really got along very nicely together. But those first 4 months, we didn't have our families with us at all. It was the first year coming back from COVID, so it was tough to get our families into the country. So me and him were together, day and night, every single day, cooking dinner together, playing video games, watching football, going to practice together. So I was really lucky to have Kevin, with me at that time, and have such a close friend with me at that time, because it was a rocky year. But we built up a nice little chemistry there. We had a really, really good run there. We were 1 game away from the Final Four. We took Zenit a very long way that year, and we really moved the needle. So it was really, really great. And when the opportunity was presented, to come here, and I heard of the possibilities of Kevin coming here, I thought it was definitely a no-brainer for us to play together again. That year was tiring. It was mentally draining. It was physically demanding. Going home and bringing our families home in March, and then having to come back was a lot. I mean, it was mentally. That's probably the part I talk about that was draining. And I didn't want to ever be in the scenario again where I was away from my family, and we had to do that for 2.5 months. So kind of figured, if we're over in Russia, let's win it all. And to come out on top, to be down 3-1, and then to finish the job and beat Cheska in the finals. I think, again, it was another big step for Zenit. It was a big step for all the players who were involved. And it was nice to finish such a stressful year with a championship. And now I look back at that, it was just such I felt like 3 seasons in one. At the beginning of the season, we had a ton of injuries. Kind of in the middle of the season, we hit a little bit of a stride with the guys that we had that were healthy. And then that last part of the season, we lost a lot of guys, and we only had, 4 or 5 foreigners still with us. So it felt like 3 different teams in one. But you built up a lot of character, and you kind of learn how to deal with adversity on and off the court during a year like that. So that championship at the end was that much more special. I think with as we go over all the experiences I've had, and we left out Red Star as well, I think I've grown mentally and physically on and off the court so much. I mean, all these experiences have really changed me in a good way. And like I said, with the adversity last year, the extreme environments in Serbia, playing in the middle of Turkey, having different types of roles, and now being here in Milano, I think that it's such a perfect step for me in my career to go for a EuroLeague championship, an Italian League championship, because at the end of the day, that's when you go back home, when you retire, that's really all you got to show for your career. So I think being here, being in Milan, with all the people around here, with the teammates we're going to have, in a facility like this, I think it's everything I've been working for. And I think that, being my 9th year overseas, I'm able to appreciate everything so much more. And I understood that all the steps that I had to take to get here, with my family with me as well, and all the steps and sacrifices they had to make as well, I think it's such a perfect step for me, and I appreciate it. And like I said before, I'm here to give everything I got. Coach knows that, he wants me to be there in the big games. I think, and that's what I want. I want the expectation that, if there's a big EuroLeague game, we can count on Billy. Whether it's coming off the bench, starting, whatever role it might be, I'm here and I'm ready for whatever Coach Messina asks of me. So I think that's what he wants me to have. He wants me to bring that experience. But I know he wants me to bring the shooting, playing hard on defense as well, and just contributing to team wins. So, whatever he's going to ask of me, and I think he knows that as well. And that's why I wanted to assure him that I'm here to do whatever, bring the ball up, take a charge, hit a shot, hit the open man, whatever it might be. I'm here to do it. I don't want to be a liability on defense. No one wants to play with a guy that's a liability on defense. So I told Coach Messina I'm here to give everything I got. Like I said, I'm 31 years old, my 9th year overseas, and what more do I want than to a EuroLeague title? So I think that I'm going to do whatever he wants, and I'm going to give my all from the time I step here to the time I leave, and hopefully that results in us winning the trophy.